What's up, deep divers? Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of The Deep Dive. And this is amusing. We're going to get into my head. I'm going to tell you the story of my first girlfriend and what happened, and more importantly, what stories were created from that heartbreak.
This is The Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
That I've carried with me for most of my life. And so it's going to be a trip down memory lane that will serve to help you identify maybe some of the stories that you've been carrying for a really long time that you don't need to hold on to anymore. And before we do that, I want to let you know that by basically a week from now, maybe 10 days, by the end of October, my new book will be out. It's called Treat Yourself Like Someone You Love: 3 Tools to Make Self-Love Easier. And I wrote it in response to the question that I keep getting more than any other, which is, what are the action steps that I can take to love myself more? And so I wrote this book breaking down the 3 foundational actions that I take on a daily basis that have changed my life. And I make it simple and easy to understand. And I'm really excited to release the book. And I'm going to do something kind of crazy, which is make the book free. And not just like a download of it, but an actual hard copy, and just pay for the shipping and the book is yours, because I want you to have this information. And I'm stoked. I'm stoked on it. The people who are going to get first access to this, by the way, are my email list. It's one of the perks for being on my email list. So if you want early access to the book, go to my website, adamroa.com, put in your email right there on the homepage. You're going to get a video emailed to you called Everything is Energy, which is me breaking down that concept and explaining what that even means about money and relationships and manifestation and all of that. So that's a bonus. And then you're also going to get early access to the book and the album when it comes out in December and all of the things. You get first dibs. So don't worry, I don't spam your email. For the last 6 months, I've been sending out 2 emails a month at the beginning of the month with a theme to think about, something to work on, and then also a mid-month kind of check-in where just tuning in and seeing, hey, how are you doing this month with the theme? How you been working on it, giving support. So it's community all of itself. For those of you who are already in that email list, you know this. But for those of you who want the early access, who want the free video, Everything is Energy, and who want that monthly support, just head over to my website and put in your email address. For today, I want to explain to you that my first girlfriend was when I was in 2nd grade. I was in this class. They didn't have any honors programs where I was growing up at the time in California. And so it was a class that was 2nd and 3rd grade combined. And you know me, like, I met a 3rd grader in the class that I really, really had a thing for. Her name, now I'm wondering if I'm supposed to say her real name. Yeah, why? What? Yeah, why not? Her real name was, wait, hold on. I don't know if I'm supposed to say, let's give a fake name. How about that? We're going to call her Rhiannon. I don't know where that came from, but we're going to call her Rhiannon. And we're going to protect the identities of people. Her name was Rhiannon. And I was so in love with this girl. And in 2nd grade, having a girlfriend means that you spend your recess together and you talk on the phone. That's what I got to do. Every evening after dinner, I would call up Rhiannon and I would get to talk to her on the phone. And that was awesome. And the thing about it is that I had this experience of having my brother and sister do this chant from a movie. I don't know if you remember the movies, Three Ninjas. That's what it's called. 3 Ninjas. And it was about these 3 brothers, and they were martial artist ninjas. And in it, there was this chanting that 2 younger brothers used to do to the older brother. And the older brother, his name was Rocky. And he had a girl that he liked that lived next door. And they would chant, "Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily." And it was just one of those like little brother annoying things. What was funny is that I used to have my brother and sister do that. I would tell them to do that while I was on the phone with Rhiannon, and they would say, Adam loves Rhiannon. Adam loves Rhiannon. And they would chant, and then I would pretend that I wanted them to stop. I would literally look over at them and go, yeah, keep going. And then say out loud, stop it, and just pretend. That's one of these cute little things that you do when you're young, I guess. And already playing games and also finding ways to express my feelings without actually expressing them. Like as I look back on that from a analytical mind that I have now, it's like, wow, even back then I was scared to share my feelings in that way. And so I had this relationship, the first girlfriend, and we would hang out in like these cubby areas during recess and spend our time together. And there was this infamous day that happened, and it was a Friday because we went to the library and we got to check out a book. And this happened, I don't know if it was every Friday or every two. And so imagine now, young me, 7 years old, 8 years old maybe, and I walk into the library and we go as a class. And I'm looking around for Rhiannon, and I see her in one of the book aisles, and she's with this guy, I gotta change his name, Brad. She's with this dude, Brad. And Brad, I can see him now, just like big, stocky, redheaded, freckled, like pretty much the exact opposite of me. I was tiny, little Asian kid. And the thing about this that was so surprising and I couldn't quite understand was that Rhiannon had regularly told me that she hated Chad. She really couldn't stand him. And I went up to her and him in this library aisle, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Super innocent like. And she said, "I'm here with Chad." Oh no, I gave the real name. Damn it. Fine, his name was Chad. But Rhiannon, that's not her real name. Protecting you, divine feminine in this situation, I guess. I don't know. I'm feeling myself having these emotions come up. I don't know if you can tell it in my voice, but I can feel the like experience as I retell this story. Anyway, Chad. She said, "I'm here with Chad." I said, "Okay, but I thought you hated Chad." And she said, "No, you're the one I hate." And then she walked away with Chad. Ouch. I didn't know what to make of that situation. I was like 7 years old and I had no idea what had just happened. I knew how much it hurt to hear that, but I didn't understand how it had come to be. I didn't understand humans at all. I was still developing. Most of our neuroplasticity is fading by the time we're 8, 9, 10, and so most of our belief systems that really form about how we view the world happen in these early ages. So I was still so formable, so malleable, and I remember walking out of the library and walking back to class by myself and trying to piece together what was wrong with me. Because instead of thinking, wow, what a dick move that was on her part, or wow, we're 7 and 8 years old and don't know how to handle situations like that. So she just did something based on, for some reason, that has nothing to do with me. Or even maybe I should just talk to her and see if I can have a conversation about what that might be. What I did was create a story. I created a story that said, there's something wrong with you and you can't see it. There's something wrong. There's something bad about you that's worth hating, but you don't know what it is. And so you can't actually trust your own perception of yourself. So that, I wonder how, like, can you relate to that in this moment? If you think about it, is there a part of you that can relate to the idea that you can't actually trust your perception of yourself? That there's something wrong with you, but you don't know what it is. You can't see it. You can't spot it. I carried that belief for most of my life. How did it manifest? It manifested, when I first got into my long-term relationship with Azria that we were in for almost 10 years, I used to do things like compose text messages that I would show to her and say, hey, can you read this? I want to make sure that this is like, I don't come across like an asshole. I would double check morality with her. Like, hey, if I don't go to this person's, I don't really want to go to this person's birthday. If I don't go though, does that make me a bad person? And literally ask that question, am I a bad person if blank? Because my own compass for myself, my own belief systems were in question. Because I was carrying this belief that I developed at the age of 7, that I couldn't trust my perception of myself, that there was something wrong with me that I couldn't see. And the reason this is coming up today, the reason I want to share this is because I think it's valuable for people to understand how these beliefs can form. It's valuable to see the stories that we tell ourselves from experiences and events that we have at such a young age. And also because I'm going through something presently where that story rears its head. Like that story comes up. I can see it. I can see as I'm going through another breakup, right? With Ruby, who I can say her name because we did podcasts together. You know that we were dating, podcast audience. And going through this breakup, and a conversation we had recently, actually, after having been separated for, 5 or 6 weeks now, maybe even more than that. There was something that really hurt me. There's something that really hurt me happened recently. And I can see that similarity of here's this woman that I care for so deeply that says something, does something, whatever, that hurts. And the default program taken on from the age of 7 that says, okay, there's something wrong with me, comes up. And the thing is, I have awareness of it. Which means that I have choice. I have choice about whether I'm going to give energy to that story, whether I'm going to accept it, whether I'm going to empower that story, or whether I'm going to choose something different. And clearly, even by talking about this today, I'm choosing something different. I'm recognizing that how I feel is worthy of being felt, and I'm not taking on any beliefs around myself that I don't resonate with from this situation. I'm not actually going to allow myself to fall back into victim mentality. I'm not going to allow myself to disempower myself. And the reason why I can do that, okay, because it's one thing to say I'm not going to, but how do I even get to that point where I say I'm not going to and I can actually stand in that, is because I've worked too damn hard to develop the level of self-love that I have. I respect myself. I value my opinions. I believe that I'm in integrity. I believe that I'm living a life that's in alignment. And I stand behind my actions. I stand behind who I am as a person. And that took a long time. That was consistent work. That was moment to moment. That was one choice after the next for years and years and years to get to the point where I can say, yeah, I love who I am. I'm proud of who I am. And therefore, anyone else's actions that may indicate anything else about how they might feel about me, towards me, any of the stories that I could create that would say I'm not enough, that there's something wrong with me. I have this whole history. I have these years of history that says the opposite. And so it's no longer 7-year-old Adam who doesn't have that history, who's like, wow, this really painful experience just happened and it's one of the first and I don't know what to do about it. And so I create a story around it. I have a whole team. I have a whole support system of memories, of personal development in my corner that supports me and gives me the strength to make this different decision. I have the awareness of what's happening inside me right now. That's the result of the consistent cultivation that I've done. And so that's my encouragement to you when you hear this, when you listen to this, when you watch this, if you're watching this on YouTube, is the journey that you're on, and I know you're on it because you're listening to this or watching this, the journey of personal development and personal growth that you're on doesn't always have the immediate benefit that you can see. And the journey that you're on doesn't mean that you're not going to encounter similar stories that arise in the future of things that you wish would never happen again, but they might. The journey that you're on is creating all of that weight, all of that strength in your corner so that when those stories show up again, when those experiences happen, you can make new choices. It is a long game that you're in, the game of life. So the journey of developing yourself and your self-love is not meant to be something that happens overnight, because if it happened overnight, you don't value it in the same way. If it happens overnight, you don't have those memories of all those late nights by yourself where you chose to take the bath or to stretch or go to that yoga class or go to the gym or listen to that personal development podcast and continue to tell yourself and your subconscious and your conscious mind that you are worth it. All of those, every time you take that action, you are building the strength to make new choices in old, familiar situations. And so I wanted to share with you that as honestly as I could by sharing one of the memories that has shaped me for a lot of my life, because that story still shows up almost 30 years later. But now I'm a different person and I can choose something different for myself. And that choice only empowers me even further as a reminder of how much I've grown and a reminder of how proud I am to be who I am today. This is the power of your self-love practice and why doing it daily is so important. It's why I wrote the book and why I'm releasing it for free in a week. Because I want everyone to be in this position. I want everyone to have the choice, truly have the strength to make different choices and love yourself more and create that feedback loop. And you can do it. You are doing it just by thinking about this stuff, by listening to this stuff, by watching this sort of thing. You're doing it. And I want to remind you that you're doing great. I want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved.